How's everybody doing? My name is Mike, and we got Miss Puppy with us today. We also got my dog hanging out. He's behind the camera on his own place. So we're going to talk about place and what it can do for a dog that resource guards. So Miss Puppy came to me, and the background on her is, long story short, during the pandemic, she was in Thailand, and that's where she had to stay for a period of time, about a year. And she was in like a boarding, training / type place. And again, to make a long story short, what happened is she went there and they did some training, but really, it's really tricks is what they taught her. So she didn't really get the full benefit of what obedience training will do for her. So what I consider obedience training in a trained dog is a dog that knows how to do place and heel. If the dog can't do those two things properly, then the dog's not a trained dog to me. So this dog did know the position of sit and down. But what happened is they taught her a training, a routine. So they did the same thing like over and over basically, or the same moves over and over again, you know. So every time when we teach a dog to sit, we want him to sit and hold a position. When I would get her to sit, she would immediately like go on her back legs and then try to lay down and then try to crawl. Those were the things that she knew how to do. So if I wanted something from her, she would try those things because that's what worked in the past with the other trainers. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but again, we're now trying to teach her how to sit and lay down and hold those positions. That's what's going to be beneficial to her and the owners. That's how the owners are going to gain control of the dog. So to finish what's happening with the dog comes back from Thailand. The owners were not with them for that period of time. The dog comes back, and the dog now in the home, when the dog is not on leash, hey, I don't want her to lick herself too much. She would run under furniture and run under it, and as people would walk by, she would then bark. Bark, growl, and she was biting people in the home. So it's very serious what's happening. Even though she's a small dog, it's very serious what's happening for the owners in the home. So that's an issue when a dog goes away and then comes back and is doing those things. But it's very clear to me why a dog would become dominant like that. It's not going to happen to all dogs, but it will happen to some of them. When you use treats, the dog can become dominant. You have to interact a certain way with the dog. Here, now we only use a leash with her. So let's go ahead and talk about place now. So now you got kind of a background of why we're doing this, what's happening with the dog. And we do teach this to all dogs. So when the dog gets under something, that's when the dog's growling and barking, right? So if you observe place, it's elevated. She's not allowed under here. But she can be up here, and she can do whatever she wants on place. She just can't chew anything or bark or come off of place. So she's allowed to sit or stand or lay down on place. As you see, she's laying down. That's good. That's what we want. So she's either in the crate, on place, or next to us with the leash. So what's great about this is during the day where I'm hanging out, cooking, or I'm on the couch or doing whatever, working with my dog or whatever, she is on place. Unless I need to go outside with my dog, she can't be trusted off place. Right now, without me being here, we don't want her to break it, so we only do it during training periods when I'm in the same room. So I would put her back in the crate, then when I come back in the room, she could come back on place. So what's great about place is the dog gets used to sitting still while you move. So for example, place. We don't say stay to the dog, we just remind the dog of the command that we want. So if we say stay, I really meant stay in place, right? So we cut the communication down. We just say place. So the dog has a clear understanding. Place. So I can actually go to my front door, open the front door, place. And that's going to maintain the dog for me. Place. Good girl. So that bed is keeping the dog still for me. Now I can move back and forth. I have the ability to move around my home and do as I please and maybe go over to my other dog in the corner here. Good boy, good job, Roots. And be able to get him a pet. Good boy, good job, Roots. Place. And so what actually keeps her on there, what we do is we correct the dog if she comes off a place. So she knows that that's where she's supposed to be. So the dog being on place in the first place, you know what I mean? If the dog's on this piece of furniture, right, on her place, and is never allowed to even go under any of the furniture, then she never becomes in that dominant mindset or in the resource guarding mindset where she believes she has something to own. Because what happens to her, for whatever reason, when she gets underneath that furniture, she feels covered and safe, and she only has to worry about one direction, right? If she's up on this place, she's actually kind of exposed, you know what I mean? But it creates a different mindset. So being exposed for her creates more of relaxing and just kind of watching, because she feels more vulnerable. She knows that I can correct her if she comes off a place with the leash. She knows I have access to her. If she's able to go underneath furniture, then she knows we don't have access to her, especially if she didn't have a leash on. Then we have no access to her. And even if she does have a leash on, if you're not using it properly, then she's not going to learn. So there's two things we do to get the dog to listen. That is timing and effectiveness of the correction. Those two things put together are what are going to make her listen to us. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how we work her a little bit, how we've changed her obedience commands. So no place. Just because we grab the leash doesn't mean she should come off a place. So we just remind her to place. And every time I grab it, I make sure I don't just grab it and walk away. Heel. So I want her to come to the left side. Sit. Good girl. Heel. Sit. Good. Sit. Good girl. So down. Good girl. Down. So what they had taught her is, at this point, she would normally start crawling. You know, that was what they kind of imprinted. We don't want that. We want her to sit still. Good girl. So right now what's happening, good down, girl, good down, is I'm rewarding her for her down, for her staying and holding that. Heel. Good girl, good heel. Sit. Good girl. Good. Sit. No. So she moves. So right. No. Correction. Just a little tug on the leash. Sit. And she's very small dog, so the tug's very simple. It's very easy. You see her foot up like that. That foot being up. That just means she's unsure. That will go away with time. If we wait right now, she'll put that down in a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. You never know. Hey, you're correcting my dogs. Hey, no. Dogs, sometimes they start licking their paws. You can't allow them to keep licking. You have to correct them. Sit. So I want her to hold that position. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. See, the paw went down. That's what we want. I wait until the paw goes down, so we're not commanding her when she's unsure in that position. Down. Good girl. Down. So down. Good girl. So she did know these positions, but the problem is she could not hold them. She would move within a minute. We want the dogs to be able to hold these positions for 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I want her to be able to hold that down position for as long as I ask, just like my dog is on the other side of the camera on place, just like she can do on place. This is what's healthy for them. There is a big difference between doing this type of obedience and tricks. The obedience is going to make a dog submissive and respectful of you. The tricks is going to make the dog excited and dominant. So there is a difference, believe it or not. Down. Good girl. Good down. Good down. So down. What I'm doing is I'm intermittently rewarding the dog for the down. Because again, she did actually know the position. She just needs to learn how to hold it. And through this is how we start to gain control over that resource guarding dominant behavior. Good girl. Good down. That's a good girl. That's a good down. Down. Good girl. Heel. Sit. Good girl. Sit. She has to wait until I tell her to go onto her bed. Sit. Place. Good girl. Place. So she's doing a good job. So you'd be surprised to know that with her, the behavior that the owner's seeing, we have not seen that once in the home, and that is normal. Okay, that's a good thing actually. If I don't see that behavior and we continue this way and I show the owners what to do, that behavior will become extinct. She'll never show the behavior again as long as they listen to what I'm telling them and do these exact things, because we're stopping the behavior about 10 steps ahead of time, right? If she's on this bed, no, place. If she's on this bed, instead of free roaming around the house doing what she wants, then she'll never become in that state of mind where she resource guards, because she'll never get under the furniture. So place is a big deal for a dog that resource guards. You don't want to let your dog free roam. You want to use crate, a place, and work your dog in real obedience. Don't use treats, use a leash, and get your dog to hold the positions and really understand what you want from them. And she does really good with place. You know, she just needed some structure. She is a very good dog, just needed some real structure. She didn't need tricks. She needs the real structure. You see how she's kind of good girl. See, she laid down on place. That's what I want. I mean, she can spend all day there. She's fairly new. She's within her first week still, so she's doing very good, and I anticipate she's going to do very good. Just got to stick to this structure, and that's what will keep the dog from ever being underneath the furniture and getting in the state of mind where she wants to growl and bite. So it's all about excitement. The closer I am to her, that's why I'm giving her a little space. If I get real close to her, she's going to try and like come up on me, you know, and I'll have to correct her for coming on me, and I want to be able to talk to the camera right now. So, but this is great for her because, and the dog needs to understand that we have the ability to walk by while she stays still. And that's the name of the game, that there's rules for her that don't apply to us. And what happens in the home is the dog ends up being the leader. The dog ends up creating rules for the owner. So that's why the dog was growling and biting. The dog's actually creating boundaries and rules and structure for the owner. And that's why we have to tell the dog in a way that they trust, understand, and respect. And you saw when she did place, when she did something she wasn't supposed to do, I tugged the leash, and that's the punishment for her. And that's what she trusts, understands, and respects, and she's doing a great job. Remember, always give your dog structure. If you have a dog that resource guards, pick up the toys off the floor. Don't give them toys to resource guard like that laying around on the floor. You got to start doing obedience. Don't allow them on or under your furniture. Give them their own piece of furniture that they can own. And again, we don't want them to resource guard, but we want their own piece of furniture that they have. No one else goes on this but her.